Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on how to create certainty with solid 10K months in your business. My name is Andrea Petrak. We're just gonna dive in right into the topic. And let me just check if we are on, because I'm streaming into the Facebook group at the same time as well. Awesome. So you guys, if you are watching this on Facebook, and if you want to comment or, just chat with me in Facebook comments, then just know that the comments are sometimes delayed and we might not be getting them in real time. So I might be a little bit later with my response, but otherwise we're all set. I'm just going to let in a couple of more people into the Zoom meeting. Yeah, this was very spontaneous idea, actually. So for those of you who don't know me, or maybe for those who know me, but never seen me doing anything like this, I am a success coach, and my forte is definitely a energetics work. This is what I do as my core business, as my core coaching. But what brought me to the idea of creating this particular webinar is actually the fact that I was talking to a couple of coaches, a good number of coaches recently, and they all shared with me one thing. And that one thing was that they are still hoping to hit 10K months or a month, their first 10K month. And it just doesn't seem to be happening for them right now. So I want to kind of just like see where we are at with this. And I really want you to know that, wherever you are right now with your business, whether you are hitting 10K months or not yet, let me reassure you that all the work you've done so far has been not wasted. You might be feeling deflated, maybe a little bit frustrated, especially at the end of the year, right? And maybe you had amazing, great goals for the end of the year, and it just like doesn't happen, right? It's not happening yet for you. And you're like wondering, when is it gonna happen finally? When is it gonna happen for me that I'm gonna hit my 10K? And the reason why I have created this particular webinar is because I've talked to way too many coaches, really, and specifically coaches, but this includes all kinds of, online entrepreneurs, service providers, VAs, healers, all kind of businesses. So the one common thing which I saw in those coaches basically is that, and you might be one of them, so just check with yourself, right? So they were definitely working hard a lot. They were putting a lot of hours into their business. They were spending a lot of time on social media, and they were also creating presence online, on social media, whatever you name it. Basically, it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything, doesn't matter. This is not particularly specific to one platform, right? And what I saw, these coaches actually, they were missing one thing. So it was not that they are not working hard. It's not that they are not taking action. It's not even that they are not working on their mindset. They all were working rigorously on their mindset, yet it was still not bringing the results they really wanted. And when I kind of had a look at what is going on in their world, I realized there is one very important thing missing, which they are not doing. And that part which they are not doing is actually sales. It is selling. Now, when I say sales, Sales is not just to signing up your customer and taking their online their banking details or getting the money transferred in whatever way. Selling is a process which starts way earlier than when you have already your customer giving giving you their banking details. And that's why I wanted to address that specifically in this webinar, because this part is missing in so many coaches, especially the coaches who are in their first, second, maybe third year. And that process is something they might be maybe doing, but there might be some tweaks which the process needs, or they might be not doing at all. So let me just clarify what I mean by that. When I say many coaches are working on their social media presence, myself included, I'm a coach, I'm doing the same. And I've realized this is what many business coaches actually teach people, right? They say, build an online presence and it will bring you a client. It will help you attract your clients. However, for the early stages of your business, when you don't have 10K followers on Instagram, you don't have massive, Facebook group, or you don't have a ton of connections and supporters on LinkedIn, creating online presence is actually hurting you. Might be hurting you in the initial phases of your business, when you really want to be signing up your very first 2, 3, 4 clients to get that income, to build that confidence in your product, in your service, in yourself, in the strategy which you're using, in the funnel which you're using, and you want to simplify it after and master it and rinse and repeat. That's it. Many coaches, as I see these days, they're trying to implement way too many strategies. I need to be doing this and this and this and that and this and this and this. And then they are getting really quickly overwhelmed and burnt out and resenting their businesses because it's not bringing the results they're hoping for. And they are really overworking themselves. So like that was my case as well when I started my coaching business, and I was working way more hours, not way more hours, but like I was definitely working more hours within my business than actually in my corporate job before as a lawyer. And that was not the reason why I started my business. I started my business because I wanted to have the flexibility, the freedom, building my business on my own terms whenever I wanted, the laptop lifestyle, all of that, not to be working more. So that's why today I really want to show you how webinars can help you to achieve your solid 10K months when you know how to do them and why they still work. And I'm just really be very blunt with you because they do work. And when I see some other people, especially on social media, claiming like, oh, webinars are dead, or forget about, free trainings and all of that. By the way, webinar is a free training, right? You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't have to have the name webinar. It could be called a masterclass, a workshop, a training session, whatever you want, right? Doesn't matter. But what it does to your audience, however small audience you might have, when you invite someone to a webinar, you're gonna handpick the people who are already interested in what you're talking about. They are more interested in finding a solution, because webinar is usually solution oriented, than the rest of your audience who is interested in the topic, yet they might not be interested in the solution, or they're not there yet, right? They just need some steps, maybe time, maybe some other, some little push. So I'm just wondering here, out of the people who we have already on the webinar today, Let me know if you are, I just assume everybody's an entrepreneur. Let me know if you are using webinars or not in the chat, if you are here on Zoom with me, or in the comments here on Facebook. And let me know how well are they working for you if you are using them. If you are not using them, obviously, you know, you don't have any experience, but you might have used them, or you might have tried them before and then given up on them as well. That's an experience, a valid one, right? I'm just really looking where we are at. Okay, not giving webinars myself yet. Monica is saying, awesome, thank you. Valeria, welcome, saying, I did try, had 3 webinars for 1 hour. Awesome, excellent. So already some experience with webinars. So today, I'm just gonna let you really on the best, I don't like to call them secrets, they're not secrets. I just really want to tell you the gist, the real core, why webinars have worked for me, and how did it happen actually that they started working for me. Because really, they didn't work for me when I did them for the first time, right? Or first couple of times. I can't even tell you how many times I did them before they actually started working for me. And what I needed to change in order to go from not working to working webinar. Okay, awesome. So we are gonna start a little bit non-traditionally, and we're gonna start from the end, because what is truly the end intention or the end result of a webinar? It's a sale, right? It's definitely a sale, whether you are inviting people on a call with you, or whether you are selling directly to the people in your webinar, meaning you're just giving them a product here or your service. Here is a link, click on it and buy that service or product, right? It doesn't matter. It works both ways, definitely. But there are differences how to approach each of these angles actually. But the end point of a webinar is to actually make sale, to have a new client, right? So when we're starting thinking about webinars, we need to know, first of all, what we're selling. And that's the basic, because at the end, you're going to sell something to someone. So you need to know what you are selling. Now, you don't need to have absolute perfected your service or the product you're selling, but you need to know at least what problem is your service or your product solving to that client. So let's say I want to lose, or I am a weight loss coach, and this is what I'm providing my clients with. So I know I'm solving their problem, which is losing weight, right? Having that in mind, this is my first stepping point where how I'm gonna create the webinar. So it actually talks to the problem which my potential client has and wants to solve. That's why I'm providing the webinar, and it has to be interconnected. The problem I'm solving, the solution I have, and what I'm offering in my webinar, it has to be completely interlocked. It has to have the sequence, right? So when somebody comes onto webinar, they know that there is a no-brainer for them if they have the problem, that your solution will help them to solve their particular problem. Now, I want to go a little bit more into detail with that, because you might be aware of that interconnectedness of this, but you might not be aware of the specificity which it needs to when you are creating a webinar. The more specific you can get when you're creating your webinar, that that this webinar is actually solving a very specific problem with your audience, first of all, what's going to happen when you're very specific on the title of your webinar, right? We're just talking about the title. When you're very specific that this webinar is solving a very specific problem, people who have that problem will be there. They will relate to it, absolutely. And you might be thinking, well, but it's gonna really kind of like, you know, it's just gonna, you know, repel all the other people who might not have this problem, right? However, the people who are ready to find a solution for the problem will be there. And they will be your audience who is ready to buy the solution anyway, right? So what do I mean by that? For example, let's say I'm a health coach. I'm just going to make up this stuff. I'm a health coach. And I know that I'm helping my clients to improve their health. But if I create a very general webinar with the title, Improve Your Health in the New Year, it will not speak to many people. Why? Because people are very singularly oriented, and we need to have it explained. What is it gonna do? How is it gonna do to us? Or what specifically are we gonna get out of this webinar? So instead of saying, you know, improve your health in 2023, I could target out of all my audience people who want to get slimmer in the new year and improve their health, right? Does it make sense so far as I'm talking here? Let me know in the chat, by the way. You can ask any question you want as we go. And I would actually love to hear what kind of businesses do you have, you guys who are on the Zoom or in the Facebook community. If you can let me know in the chat that, you know, if you're a coach, what kind of coach you are. Valerie is saying coaching boost confidence. Yes, awesome. Monica, success coach. Yes, amazing. So kind of life coaching too. Yeah, awesome. And this is incredible, right? So you have your kind of title, but when it comes to creating a webinar, and especially the title of the webinar, which is the hook for your audience to actually come to your webinar, is to be specific and really zoom in into one specific problem which your audience has. So for this, you totally need to know your audience, right? Who is it? What problems do they have? And whether you can solve them. You need to be absolutely clear on those things, because you will literally call forward those people with very specific examples, even in your marketing, of the problems they might have. Yeah. Okay. Let me check the chat. Actually looking to create my next one and would like to make it as best. Yeah. Awesome. So boosting confidence. So yeah. So what is, if you think, Valeria, about this, if you think, what is one problem your audience has, or your client, potential client has, which they're looking to solve? And think about it in a very specific, in like a specific situation, right? Because saying that they don't have confidence might be true, but it's still on an overall level, right? This is the coaching language we usually use, like, yes, boosting confidence or creating confidence, but Where is it that they're lacking confidence specifically? Where in their life is it showing up that they don't have confidence? It could be in their job, in their employment, for example, that they are shy in meetings, they're not raising their hand, they're not speaking up, they're not asking for promotion, they're not asking for even responsibilities, or they really are not sharing their great ideas with the management, for example. To be more specific in what areas, and create a title based on that. Yeah, exactly. So you could just choose, and I'm not saying you are gonna narrow down your coaching. This is not what's happening here. You're not even narrowing down your title, what you do, right? You are only creating a very specific webinar for a busy woman, for example, in corporate job, who is a little bit shy maybe and really wants to speak up because she has great ideas, and she wants to contribute. And when you really step into the shoes of your potential client like this, you will see that yes, the problem is I don't have confidence and I want more confidence. But the way how she looks at that is, I feel I'm not heard and fulfilled in my job. Because the problem is she's shy to speak up, or she doesn't have the courage, but what she really truly wants is being a contribution. She wants to be heard with her employer so she can change things. She wants to be fulfilled, and the fulfillment is created in her job through really contributing, to adding value to the job, to the project, to the team, to other people, to clients, to whoever that is, right? So if you start thinking specifically about that problem, you will see that creating a webinar specifically for people who might want to be heard and fulfilled in their job by speaking up in their employment might be interested in this specific webinar. Now, you don't need to be afraid that people who are not that, maybe they don't have a problem of speaking up because they have confidence, that they will not show up if the topic is of interest to them, because they suddenly see that there is fulfillment involved in as well, because this is what they want. And if you are giving them what they truly want, instead of just an umbrella idea, then they will pay attention. They will go, oh, that sounds good, right? Now, your product, your service is absolutely solving more problems than just not speaking up. It's building confidence, right? They will gain, out of your coaching, they will gain way more confidence in all other areas. They don't know it yet because they're not even interested in all those areas, because they cannot be focused on 10 areas in their life simultaneously. They're focused on probably one problem in their job, in their employment. So really, we want to be looking at that as, what am I selling and how am I gonna speak to them with my specific webinar so I can help them to solve their immediate problem which they have and more. Okay, this is the first stage of creating a webinar. When you're thinking, what's the topic? This is the first thing, right? The title, coming up with a title, and then you're saying my webinar is happening in 1 month's time or 3 months time, or I don't know when. So you have the time to create the the content, but this is not what I'm talking now about. I'm talking about the title and the hookup, why people should actually come and see your webinar to attract your perfect clients, right? People are, we are community people. We are humans who love connectedness. And when somebody can relate to you, when they can connect with you, because they have the same story, they have a similar problem, what you are sharing maybe that you had, they will immediately build connection with you. You might not even know them, but they will feel like they know you. And this is the important part which you want to create in your audience in order to really attract the right people to your webinars who are gonna become your client at the end of the process. So this all is actually a sales process, whether you like it or not. And it already starts with my audience or my title, how I'm gonna attract, who I'm gonna attract into my webinar, right? So that's really kind of like the first secret of the webinars, why they still work, but they really have to be thought through from the very start till the very end, like this, okay? Now, the second thing is why webinar still works is because it's super simple to create a process around creating, running, and monetizing webinars which suits your needs. There is no just one way how to do that. There is no one platform where you can hold the webinar. You can run webinars whatever way you want. It can be 1 hour, an hour and a half, whatever you choose. Of course, there are recommendations, and I usually recommend, you know, the length and all of the little nuances around in webinars for my clients. And by the way, I have a program for creating, running, and monetizing webinars, which is like a 3 months program. And I will be talking about that later on. But there are many of the nuances on the way which you want to have connected and interlocked. However, running webinars have to be sustainable for you and your type of business. And not only for your type of business, it has to suit your lifestyle, your personal needs, everything else which you have already in your life, or you might be getting in your life, right? So I've shared it in one of my posts when I was saying in 2021 in March, I found out that I was pregnant. And before, I was like a single childless person working 8 to 10 hours on my business. And that was not sustainable for my business. So I had to really come up with a way of running my business, running my webinars in a way that it's gonna need way less time, and it's gonna be done on rinse and repeat. So here is the second secret, really. Don't give up if you even have tried webinars and they kind of didn't bring the result what you want, right? Because it's like a pair of shoes. It has to fit, but you're gonna change the process. You're gonna tweak it on the way. What works for you? What is best for you? What is easy for you to do? So the entire process is really simple and very effective still, without you doing the least work around that. And for that, there is no formula. You just have to take a structure and then really course correct for your own needs to really push it down into the minimum effort you can apply in your webinars So they will be actually running almost on autopilot. And that is really the third thing. There is so many things which you can put on autopilot in your webinars. Once you see that your webinar is converting, once you see that you're signing up clients, you know that this stuff is working. You know it's working. And then you can take parts of it and you can either delegate or you can automate. There's lots of tools out there. Some of them are even for free. Some of them are not that expensive to subscribe to. And you just set the automation in many different ways. So your actual work, your actual time on running these webinars is, you know, that 1 hour when you spend with your potential clients, because you need to be there, you need to be present. But in many of the other aspects, you know, coming up to the live webinar, it doesn't have to be you. At the beginning, it has to be you. And at the beginning, you will need to do the selling process afterwards, like when you invite people on calls and all of that. Or you can also decide to automate that and then just provide link to your audience and say, click here and register, buy the coaching program or sign up for this package. Why is this still working better than doing Facebook Lives or Instagrams or anything like that? Is because people who have taken the effort, that they are here with you for 1 hour, they have registered, that means they want something, they need something, and they are paying attention to what you are telling them, and you are already creating connection. You're creating connection, which is so important for people to start buying from you, because they need to start trusting, and they will start trusting you when they see you, you know, on screen, talking about specific topic, sharing their expertise, and they will immediately either create this trust-like effect, or they will just walk away, and that's okay. People walking away is fine. No harm in that, right? We don't want them anyway. If they don't want us, then we don't want them. But you have your audience almost like on a call, already on a webinar. So you are telling them how you can solve their problem. By the way, are there any questions about this? About anything what I just said? Because I tend to jump from one thing to another. Let me know in the chat if there's any confusion or you would like more clarification. Valeria is saying, not from me. Okay, awesome. Also, ask me if you want any help with your specific webinar. If you have any questions or something you would like to implement and just don't know how to go about this, right? Because literally your webinar starts at the day when you decide on a title. You say, I'm gonna create the webinar, I'm gonna hold the webinar, I don't know, in March. And coming up to that date, there is a lot of things which you could be doing. One of them is creating your audience, meaning attracting new people into your audience on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and then warming up your audience coming up to the webinar day. So then they are not surprised that is suddenly, you know, seeing you doing a webinar or getting an invitation from you, because they know you, they're following you, they trust you, they see you doing it. And then because they're interested in the topic, the invitation is just a very natural yes, because they're already followed you for some time. Which content structure works best for you? Monica, do you mean a content structure for the webinar itself, right? Yes, okay, awesome. So I would say that content is actually the easiest part of the entire process. But this is not to say, to diminish your question, because it is still important. And especially if you are doing your first couple of webinars, right? So, for example, you could be doing a webinar like this, no slides, only you on camera talking people through the process of solving the problem. What is the problem here on our webinar today is how to create 10K months. Well, I'm sharing the way what works for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about webinars if it was not my experience of hitting my very first 10K month with webinars. And I'm sharing that because you might not be using it yet, or maybe using it, but you still need help with tweaking it, right? And I'm sharing my content is to help you to actually create a webinar, but also to start trusting webinars. So that's my content. That's why I'm explaining to you that webinars still work. Why? Because instead of one person on a webinar, you're talking to many. You're talking to 10 people, to 20, to 30, 40, 50, potentially, right? Depending on how many people you get. And then it really reduces the time which you would spend otherwise maybe talking one-on-one, because this is really a funnel, funneling people into narrower and narrower categories where they are ready to work with you or really buying the solution you have for them in their specific circumstances. So going back to content, I said maybe the first couple of webinars, there would be recommendation of having a slides for the webinar. PowerPoint, you can create something in Canva, anything else. You go as mad as you want, as creative as you want, or as simple as you want. That's the beauty of the webinars. It can be as simple as you can imagine being simple. It really doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be overcomplicated, doesn't have to be, I don't know, just look at my webinar. Okay, it was very spontaneously created a couple of days ago, and then I didn't even have a registration page for this one. For my other ones, I have usually, but for this one, I was like, no, I'm not gonna create a registration page because I really want to keep it that simple. And when you clicked on the link to register, it was just a Zoom link registration, which brought you here into this Zoom meeting. So for content, if you like, an hour goes by really quickly. So for content, you have very, briefly saying, you have your introduction, you have your maybe 3 main topics, 3 main keys or secrets or whatever you want to be sharing with your audience. And then you have basically closure. It's the end, it's the call to action part. You just basically invite people to come on a call with you, or you give them an offer. Work with me for 6 months or for 3 months, or work with me for 6 weeks in this program. Here's the link if you want to book the program. Really, content doesn't have to be overcomplicated, and I would even say the more simple you can keep your content, the better. With many coaches, especially myself included as well in the beginning, I was trying to give people everything, like so much information, so many things. And I just wanted to like talk about everything, what I thought was important. However, that's not really what people need nor want. They want their problem solved. So you are telling them why or how their problem can be solved. That's why I say webinars are solution oriented. So you're talking about solutions. Of course, you can touch on problems as well in the introduction, but then content is solution, 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 and then you invite them to book a call or book the service, book the product. Is that clear? Are there any questions? Because I'm really sharing with you what works for me, and the content of sharing 3 key steps, 3 key points is just the best. You can talk about a little bit about key number 1, key number 2, key number 3, and give examples, you know, success examples from your own life or from your clients, or, you know, even your family. Maybe you coached some members of your family. All good, thank you. Yes. So I would say, don't get stuck on the content. That's why I would even create a title of a webinar and set a date for it without knowing the content, because the content will come. It will come. And I started definitely with creating slides for my workshops and for my webinars. And I was just doing them again and again and again, the same one, same one, same one. I knew them almost by heart. And I was just like so confident when I was delivering them that the confidence spoke out to my clients, right? They saw that what I'm talking about, I'm absolutely assured about myself. I know this stuff works and I'm at home with that. No problem. So don't let content or any parts of the webinar, by the way, to keep you stuck, because it can be overcome very easily. And actually the secret in being very good at webinars lies in doing them a lot. So you want to be doing them on rinse and repeat as a minimum, you know, once a month. Now, if that is your first webinar, for example, I would leave myself more time. That's why even the program Webinar Magic is for 3 months, and you're creating your first webinar in the 3rd month, or the date is set for the 3rd month. So you have the time to go through the process of creating your title, your content, your audience, and then even, you know, tying the bow around your service, around your product, which you are selling at the end of the webinar. Is that clear? Let me know in the chat if you have any comments about this, because now I'm coming to the very last point of this. Yes, all good, all good. We are all good. Automation. This is my, I'm so excited about automation because it actually saves a lot of time. You can semi-automate, wholly automate your webinars, whatever you want. As much as you want, as little as you want. You can partially automate, partially, you know, have other people helping you with those tasks so you don't have to do them. So when I started first with webinars, it was actually fully automated, completely automated. Yet this was not the very best approach for a starter, because the content, the call to action, all of that was not yet perfected. And I would recommend the full automation only after you know your webinar is converting. And then you can even go into pay ads and go as wild as you want with that, right? So fully automated means that when you are selling, when you are asking people to come on a call, you only see booked calls in your calendar and maybe notifications of that, right? When you're selling a product or like a click and pay, you see only the notification that this is happening. You're not even touching anything. But that's kind of like full automation, which you know, like I'm not talking into details. As you can imagine, it's that is already a complicated process. So first, you really want to go through webinar, doing them a couple of times, so you mastering them. And once they start converting clients, then You can automate, delegate, semi-automate, and do really run them on autopilot. But once all those little pieces are in place, indeed, it saves lots of time. Yeah, it does. It definitely does, especially if you don't want to be, wasting your life in front of a computer working, which nobody wants. Whether you have family, whether you have hobbies and free time and whatever, that's just not why we wanted to run our businesses, right? To be working all the time. So webinars truly work when you have those little nuances tweaked and twisted into a place where it really delivers. There are a lot of these moving steps, really moving particles in it. And maybe if you're running a webinar, maybe already, a lot of things is working for you, and maybe there's 1, 2, 3 things not working. Maybe if you want to be setting up a new webinar, that's a good time to start setting them in a way that they really work, that they really, really convert people at the end, and that you will start basically seeing the revenue. What is happening with a lot of coaches, with a lot of people I see, they try, for example, webinars, and then they give up. They give up and say, oh, webinars are not working. That has happened to me as well in the first stages of my business, when I really didn't understand what I was doing. Yet what was not working in my webinars was actually the very last part, was the selling part. So I needed to, learn how to sell first. Well, what did I do? I started looking into other strategies, into longer challenges, even afterwards, and building my online presence, which is a really amazing strategy. Yet this is not very suited for coaches in their early stages. This is really for people who have the numbers in their audience already. That's kind of like the mentality I see really a lot of business coaches, teaching. Yet it's working for them because they already went through the other stages of their businesses. They've learned a lot, they implemented a lot, they perfected their processes. And now when they have the following, now when they have the mastery over what they're selling, it's easy to sell with their online presence. However, we can't really skip some of the steps before we get there, right? Myself, I'm not there yet. That's just full transparency. I'm not there yet, but I know how to conduct webinars so they actually convert. Okay. And I'm a really big fan. So, I told you that I have a webinar program, which is called Webinar Magic. It's a program of 3 months where I will personally help you to create your very first webinar, or really hold your hand and help you to tweak and twist those parts in your existing process, which might not be working well. And that's why you are not converting your potential clients into paying clients. So we are going through this over 3 months for everyone to have the time to create their either very first webinar, or for the more advanced people to have their webinar done a couple of times, tried and perfected, so it actually in real time becomes a really converting webinar. So, I'm not doing this kind of programs a lot. Last time I offered that as a bonus to my clients who are signing up for my 6 months program, which is more on that mindset side oriented. But what I really see, the strategy needs to be there, because only mindset doesn't work in business when we don't know what we are doing. The mindset is actually great and it's really, really needed. And the mindset is bringing you to the right strategy, but it has to be really worked out on the side of the strategy as well. Don't be afraid of the strategy. Don't be afraid of learning the strategy and changing it. It might not work the first time, but if you persist in really perfecting it, you will get there. You will absolutely get there, because it will be your way of how you created that process. So it sits with you like, I don't know, a glove on your hand. Okay. Today I have an offer for everyone who is, well, actually I rolled out this offer already a week ago, but I have made Webinar Magic into a standalone program for everyone to join without, joining the 6 months program to get it with that, but standalone program for only strategy plus specific mindset shifts on every of those steps to tweak and twist your mindset so it actually starts working the way you want. Nothing in this program is put on you that this is the way how it needs to be done, or you have to be doing it. If it doesn't sit with you, we will course correct that strategy so it actually works for you, right? But there are definitely some steps which cannot be skipped over. We have to go through them. So, I said to you, the offer is valid actually only till tomorrow, is the end of the year. And we are rolling out the program in January. So already the first week of January is the first starting week. And you have included one weekly live session with myself and one Q&A session. Of course, you have access to myself with questions, messaging me, emailing me, asking questions, even having me, have a look at your stuff if you want that, if you want to kind of get a second opinion about this. So the price for the program is 1,800 when paid in full, or 650 euros paid over 3 months, 3 times. So I'm just gonna, put the payment link into the chat here. One is for the full payment, the other one is for the payment in installments. So it's 3 installments, 650 over a month. And I'm just gonna say one thing maybe with this, because 650 euros paid over a month, where you can learn a strategy which will help you to really signing your first 2, 3, 4 clients, is what will give you the boost in your business, to even invest further in yourself, to invest in your business, to maybe get help in your business, to afford, to have that VA or a social media manager, whoever you think you might need right now. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Let me know if you have any questions, either on webinars, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions you might have about your business or your webinars, because I really want to help you to implement the shifts right away. If you have questions, shoot them now. Let me know now what you want to be asking, because if you are not asking anything, I will just assume that everything is just clear, perfect clear. Awesome. I'm very happy to actually talk with you if you want. If you're not sure whether this is the right thing for you, or if you're hesitant because you might be thinking that you already invested in so many things and you're not sure whether this particular thing will work for you, let's just hop on a call and let's talk it out. I will be very frank with you. I'm not getting people who are like if I see that this is not your best next step right now where you are in your business, I will not even offer that for you. But if it's a good fit for you, I would say learn how to perfect your webinars in whatever stage you want and where is actually needed. Mostly people don't know where it's needed by themselves. And so many times they're just so close to a converting webinar instead of having, you know, a lot of efforts and time spent on something which is at the end kind of not converting then. Okay, Valeria saying, nothing from me. Awesome. Monica, thanks a lot. Andrea, oh, you're welcome. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining me on this webinar. I'm wishing you the best end of the year 2022. Lots of success in the new year. Let's crush it. Let's really make 2023 your year, when not by the end of the year, but in very, very early stages, you are hitting those 10K months as you desire them. Thanks so much. Oh, wishing prosperous 2023 to both. To you too, Valeria. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. I'm rooting for you. Thank you, Monica. Take care, everyone.